The Wooden King, written by Anthony Zicari, read by Drew Grimm. Christmas Eve always smelled the same in the Adler house. Pine needles, melted wax, sugar burned just a little too long in the oven. Clara Adler lay awake in her childhood bed, staring at the ceiling, where shadows from the tiny Christmas tree on the nightstand in her room danced like long fingers. Somewhere downstairs, the grandfather clock ticked with heavy authority, each second pressing closer to midnight. She should have been asleep. She was 12 now, too old for this excitement, her parents said, too old to believe that Christmas still held surprises. But her heart wouldn't slow because of the gift. It sat downstairs beneath the tree, taller than the rest, wrapped in thick butcher paper tied with twine instead of ribbon. No tag, no name. Just her mother's handwriting scrawled on a small card. For Clara, from a very old friend. Clara hadn't asked who the friend was. She didn't want to know. The party had ended hours earlier. Neighbors gone. Plates stacked. Laughter scrubbed from the walls. The house had settled in to that uncanny quiet, unique to Christmas Eve, where silence feels watched. Clara slipped from her bed and padded barefooted to the hallway. The floorboards creaked. She froze. Nothing followed. She descended the stairs slowly, each step an act of rebellion against every rule she'd been taught. The Christmas tree stood dark now, its lights unplugged, ornaments reflecting her pale face in warped fragments. Up close, it was heavier than it looked. The paper smelled faintly of old wood and something metallic, like pennies pressed too long between fingers. Clara tugged at the twine. It resisted. She pulled harder. The knot loosened with a dry snap. The paper fell away. A nutcracker stood beneath. Not a toy store decoration, not cheerful, not smiling. This one was nearly 3 foot tall, carved from dark wood, its paint cracked with age. Its teeth were long and jagged, carved individually, stained the color of old bone. Its red uniform was faded to rust. Its black boots were scuffed and worn, as though they had walked far. And its eyes were glass, and they were not empty. Clara swallowed. She felt ridiculous standing there, heart pounding over a wooden statue. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching her. She reached out and touched its sleeve. The wood was warm. She snatched her hand back. "No," she whispered to the empty room. No. That's stupid." The nutcracker remained motionless. Behind her, the grandfather clock chimed once. 11:58. Clara turned away, heart racing, and crept back upstairs. She told herself it was nothing. Old houses did strange things. Wood held warmth. Christmas played tricks on the mind. She climbed into bed and pulled the covers tight, falling into a fitful, restless sleep. Downstairs, the nutcracker stood patiently. Clara woke to the sound of skittering. Not the soft kind mice make in walls. This was heavier, wet, purposeful. She crept from her bed and knelt at the top of the stairs, peering through the banister slates into the darkened living room below. Moonlight spilled through the front window, and something moved in it. Rats poured from the shadows, dozens of them, climbing over one another, their bodies knotting together into a single, churning mass. Tails braided, teeth clicked, eyes burned with dull, hungry intelligence. At the center, something rose, a shape stitched from vermin and rot. The Rat King. Its body was wrong, too tall, too narrow. Rats fused together by sinew and bone, their necks twisted into a single crown of gnashing mouths, its many eyes fixed on the Christmas tree, on the presents beneath it, on the Nutcracker. The Rat King hissed, and the sound crawled up Clara's spine. From the corner of the room, wood scraped against the floor. The Nutcracker stepped forward, but it was no longer just a toy. It grew as it moved, stretching, joints locking into place, shoulders broadening, until it stood unnaturally taller. Its painted smile cracked wider, splintering its face into something closer to a snarl. Drums began to beat, slow, heavy, final. The Wooden King had come. The Rat King surged forward, rats screaming as one, a tidal wave of fur and teeth. The Wooden King did not retreat. He raised his arm. The blade appeared in his hand, not metal, not wood, but something older, darker, carved from the idea of hunger itself. They collided. Rats leapt, biting, tearing at the painted armor. Teeth scraped wood. Blood, dark and thick, splattered across the floor. The Rat King wrapped itself around the Wooden King's torso, mouth snapping, inches from his face. Clara clamped a hand over her mouth to keep from screaming, her eyes wide with abject horror. The Wooden King drove the blade upward. The sound was wet. It was a death blow, a terrible, splattering noise as the Rat King shrieked, 1,000 voices dying at once. The Wooden King wrenched the blade free and swung again and again until the writhing mass collapsed. Silence followed. The rats lay still. Then the Wooden King bent down, seized the Rat King's fused necks, and pulled. The head came free with a wet snap. He lifted it high. Rats fell from it like shedding leaves. The Wooden King turned slowly, deliberately, until his glass eyes found the staircase, found Clara. For a moment, neither moved. Then the Wooden King raised the severed head higher, as if presenting it, an offering, a promise, a warning. His jaw opened. Crack, crack, crack. The drums stopped. The Wooden King lowered the severed head of the Rat King, and the world seemed to reset itself. The rats were gone. The Nutcracker stood once more beneath the tree, small and still. Clara staggered back, tears streaming down her face. She finally understood. The Wooden King did not protect Christmas. He ruled it. And he had just shown her what happened to those who challenged his throne. Clara shuddered and staggered backwards toward her bedroom, sobbing, collapsing on her bed. The returning nightmare came fast. Clara was no longer in her house. She stood in a snow-covered ballroom where the walls stretched impossibly high. Christmas trees lined the space like soldiers. Drums beat slowly, deep, hollow. Boom, boom, boom. Figures emerged from the shadows. Wooden soldiers, dozens of them, identical to the Nutcracker beneath her tree. Their jaws opened and closed in perfect rhythm. Crack, crack, crack. At the center of the room stood a throne made of broken toys. His sword propped against it, and upon it sat the king. He was taller than the rest, broader. His uniform was stained dark, his crown jagged, his mouth carved open so wide it could never close again. He leaned forward. "Christmas requires order," he said, his voice splintering like wood under pressure. "Children forget. Children must be reminded." Clara tried to scream. She awoke, choking on air. The house was silent. Too silent. She glanced at her door. It was open. She was certain she had closed it. From downstairs came a sound, a single slow thud, like wood striking the floor. Then another thud, pause, thud, footsteps. Clara's breath caught in her throat. The hallway light flickered on by itself, and in the doorway, the Nutcracker stood. Closer now, its head tilted slightly, as if it was studying her. Its jaw opened. Crack, crack, crack. Clara screamed, and then blackness consumed her. Her parents found her huddled beneath the Christmas tree at dawn, sobbing, refusing to let go of her knees. The Nutcracker stood in the corner, exactly where it had been left, motionless, silent. Her father laughed it off. Bad dreams, too much sugar. Her mother didn't laugh at all. She stared at the Nutcracker for a long, long time, and when Clara wasn't looking, she whispered, "I told you it was too early." That night, the drums began again, and this time, they weren't coming from Clara's dreams. The drums did not stop. When she awoke and morning came, they softened retreated into the walls, into the bones of the house, but they never fully disappeared. By breakfast, Clara could still feel them, a slow pressure behind her ears, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to her. Her parents spoke in hushed tones, exchanging looks they thought she didn't notice. "Are you sure she didn't sleepwalk?" her father asked her mother. Her mother didn't answer right away. She stirred her coffee too long. The spoon clinked against the porcelain in an uneven rhythm. "She was cold," her mother said finally. Clara stared at her cereal. The milk trembled faintly. "I wasn't dreaming," Clara said. "It was in my room." Her father sighed. "Clara." "It cracked its teeth," she whispered. "Like this." She mimicked the sound softly with her mouth. Crack, crack, crack. Her mother's spoon froze. "That's enough," her father snapped, standing abruptly. "No more nutcracker talk." He turned toward the corner of the living room, where the wooden soldier stood tall, looming silently beside the tree. "I'll take it to the attic," he muttered. "That thing gives me the creeps anyway." "No," her mother said sharply. Both Clara and her father looked at her. Her mother swallowed. "Not yet." The rules revealed themselves slowly. That afternoon, Clara noticed the first change. The nutcracker had moved. Just slightly. Its boots now faced the hallway instead of the tree. No one admitted to touching it. By evening, the tree lights flickered on by themselves. The ornaments trembled faintly, chiming together in a sound too organized to be coincidence. That night, Clara locked her bedroom door. It didn't matter. She awoke at 11:59 to the sound of marching. Not footsteps. Drums. Boom. Boom. The air grew heavy, pressing against her chest. Her posters curled at the edges. All of her toys, dolls, stuffed animals, robots, dinosaurs, all began to turn their faces toward the door. The doorknob rattled. Crack. The nutcracker's voice slid beneath the door like splinters. "Roll 1, it said, no longer pretending to be silent. "Christmas begins at midnight." The door creaked open, and the nutcracker stepped inside. Up close, Clara could see new details. Tiny scratches along its jaw, dried dark residue beneath its teeth. Its eyes reflected her room in miniature, her bed, her dresser, her fear. "You woke early," it said. "That breaks the order." I didn't mean to," Clara sobbed. "I just wanted to see." "Wanting is forgetting," it replied. Behind it, the hallway filled with figures. Wooden soldiers, dolls, stuffed bears with split seams, tin trains crawling on twisted metal wheels, all watching. "Rule 2. The Nutcracker continued. Children who break the order must be corrected. What does that mean? Clara whispered. The Nutcracker leaned closer. It means you will learn. Her parents heard nothing. Not the drums, not the marching, not Clara's screams. To them, the house slept peacefully. In Clara's room, the toys advanced. They did not rush. They surrounded her bed in a slow, deliberate circle. A porcelain doll lifted its cracked arm and pointed at her. Unwrapped, it whispered. A teddy bear split further down the seam, sawdust spilling from its belly. Ungrateful, it crooned. Clara shook her head violently. I didn't mean to. I love Christmas. I do. The Nutcracker straightened. Love is obedience, it said. The toys lunged. They did not bite. They measured. Tiny wooden hands pressed against her arms, her legs, her ribs, marking lengths, weighing, testing. The Nutcracker raised one long finger and tapped her forehead. Rule 3, it said. Every Christmas requires a replacement. The room twisted. The walls stretched outward, dissolving into the vast snow-covered ballroom from Clara's dream. Trees rose like pillars. Drums thundered from everywhere at once. At the far end, the throne waited, the wooden king's sword propped up against it. The king leaned forward. Children grow, the king rumbled. Belief fades. Toys must endure. No, Clara cried. I'm real. The king smiled with his broken mouth. So were we, he said. Clara woke up screaming. Morning light streamed through the window. Her room was normal. Her toys lay scattered as if knocked over by a nightmare. She sobbed into her pillow until her throat ached. It was just a dream. It had to be. But downstairs, her mother was already pale. The Nutcracker stood in the kitchen, closer than before. Its boots left faint scratches in the hardwood floor. Her father stared at it, deeply unsettled. I swear I moved that damn thing last night. Her mother whispered. It moves when she forgets. Clara froze. What? Her mother closed her eyes. Clara, she said softly, did I ever tell you about my Christmas? The room seemed to shrink. When I was your age, her mother continued, I woke up early too. I heard the drums. I saw the soldiers. Clara's heart thundered. I wasn't chosen, her mother said. My brother was. The Nutcracker's jaw cracked once. Her mother's voice trembled. He disappeared on Christmas morning. No footprints in the snow. No sign he ever exited except one thing. She nodded toward the wooden soldier. He stands taller every year. Clara screamed. The drums began again, louder, closer. And from the nutcracker's carved mouth came a whisper meant only for Clara. Midnight comes again. Christmas Eve returned like a verdict. Snow fell heavier than it had all season, thick and soundless, smothering the town in white. The world looked clean, forgiven, as if nothing bad could happen on a night like this. But inside the Adler house, the drums waited. Clara sat on the edge of her bed, fully dressed, shoes on, hands clenched so tightly her fingers ached. Her mother stood in the doorway, pale and shaking, clutching an old photograph to her chest. Her father slept downstairs on the couch, oblivious, drugged by exhaustion and denial. He won't hear, her mother whispered. They never do. Clara stared at the nutcracker, now positioned directly across from her bed. It had grown. Not by much, but enough. Its shoulders are broader, its jaw is longer, its teeth are sharper. Fresh cracks split its painted smile, and something dark glistened deep inside the grooves. Is there a way to stop it, Mom? Clara asked. Her mother's voice broke. No. The nutcracker's boots scraped the floor as it stepped forward. Crack, crack, crack. Midnight approaches, it said. Prepare the offering. Clara's chest tightened. You said your brother. He was taken, her mother whispered, so I could stay. The nutcracker tilted its head. A generous exchange. The grandfather clock began to chime. 11. The walls vibrated with distant marching. 12. The lights flickered out. 13. The house split open. The ballroom returned in a rush of cold air and blinding snowlight. The ceiling vanished into endless night. Christmas trees towered like watchtowers, their ornaments frozen in silent screams. The toys marched, hundreds of them. Nutcrackers, dolls, soldiers, animals, marionettes, some new, some ancient, all bearing the scars of long service, their jaws cracked in perfect unison, teeth gnashing like applause. At the far end, the throne awaited, the wooden king's sword propped up against it. The king rose. He was massive now, his wooden body fused with splintered bone and rusted metal. His crown was embedded directly into his skull. His chest bore hundreds of carved initials, the names of children who had gone before. Step forward, the king commanded. Clara shook her head, No! The drum stopped. Silence crushed the air. The king leaned closer. Christmas demands belief. Belief demands sacrifice. The nutcracker seized Clara's wrist. Its grip was iron. Let her go! Her mother screamed, rushing forward. The king regarded her with mild interest. You already paid, he said. Your debt bought time, not mercy. The toys surrounded Clara, measuring, judging, waiting. What happens if I refuse? Clara whispered. The king smiled wider than his face could contain. Then Christmas ends. The trees blackened. The ornaments shattered. The snow turned gray. You think we exist for you? The king roared. We exist to keep the world remembering. Without us, without the exchange, children wake too early. They forget wonder. They grow without fear. Clara's mother sobbed. Please, take me instead. The king shook his head slowly. You are already hollow. The nutcracker raised its jaw. Crack. Choose, it whispered. Clara's gaze fell to the throne. She saw the truth then. The king was not one being. He was many. Layer upon layer of children trapped inside the wood. Eyes blinking beneath varnish. Mouths screaming behind carved smiles. Bones fused into grain. Every nutcracker had once been a child. Every Christmas, the king grew. Clara screamed and tore free, running, not away, but toward the throne. The toys shrieked in alarm. The king roared. Stop her! Clara climbed the throne, splinters cutting her hands, and grabbed the wooden king's sword. It burned. She screamed as memories flooded her mind, not her own. Children waking early, parents screaming, toys marching. Centuries of Christmas nights soaked in fear. The king howled as cracks raced across his body. What are you doing? He thundered. Ending it, Clara sobbed. She stabbed toward the nutcracker, plunging the sword into the chest of the wooden king. His crown ripped free, clattering to the ground. The ballroom exploded in sound. The toys collapsed where they stood, lifeless wood clattering to the floor. The tree splintered. The drums shattered. The king staggered backward, his body collapsing inward as trapped voices screamed and spilled out like smoke. You break the order, he roared. No, Clara whispered. I remember it. She picked up the crown and plunged it into his chest. The king shattered. Wood, bone, and memories burst outward in a storm of splinters and snow. The ballroom vanished. Clara woke up on the living room floor. Morning light streamed through the windows. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Her mother knelt beside her, shaking, eyes wide with disbelief. "It's over," Clara whispered. The nutcracker lay on its side by the tree, small again, lifeless. They burned it that morning, watched the wood blacken and crackle, and finally turn to ash. No drums followed, no marching. Christmas came. Years passed. Clara grew. Belief faded, as it always does. But some traditions linger. Every Christmas Eve, Clara wakes at 11:59 p.m. She listens, just in case. Because sometimes, when the house is very quiet, she swears she hears something beneath the ticking clock. A faint wooden crack, a distant drum, waiting for someone else to forget.